All right, everybody. I am Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and we are not answering an employment law question today. We are with Lee Stockner, the inventor, the creator of what's the name of the system?
Name of the program is Occupational Octaves Piano.
Which I have been watching grow for what feels like a decade at this point. And I've always been so impressed by it. And I wanted to share Lee's program, but also Lee's story on the channel. I think it's valuable to a lot of not everyone who watches the channel. Listen, some of you are not going to love this, and the beauty of YouTube is you clicky the stop button. It's fine, right? But I think a lot of people are really going to love this. So I did want to share it. Lee, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Lee Stockner. I'm an old friend of Vince's. We know each other for a very, very long time,
15, 16 years.
maybe even more. And I've also gotten to watch Vince grow little by little in the same time that he's gotten to watch me grow. So we've been friends, and we've been entrepreneurial friends. So in a handful of different ways, Vince, this is really an honor. This is very
Oh,
cool.
please. The honor's all mine.
So I created a program named Occupational Octaves Piano, and the background of this story is very, very unique. I've been a classical piano player since I was very young, and I started teaching classical piano lessons by the time I was 15. By the time I was 17, I was judging classical competitions and just very, very involved in the world of piano lessons. When I was about 25 for the first time, I was introduced to a young man on the autism spectrum. He came down to the music store that I was working in, and his mom asked my boss at the time, "Do you have anybody that works with kids on the autism spectrum?" And he said, "No, but I have a feeling this guy, Lee, might be the person that can be successful." So in our very, very first conversation, in our very, very first lesson, we had this cool thing happen that I still talk about, where I was trying to teach this young man about a certain key on the piano, and he kept on looking at my pockets because in your pocket is where the keys are. And once I saw that happen, I realized I was in a different world and I was going to have to be very careful with my communication, but I also felt up to the task. Began working in a school for students on the autism spectrum who have what we would consider very, very high support needs and many different challenges that they would face in day-to-day life. Over the course of time, I started to have a few ideas so I can combine my piano teaching career and my career in special education. And that is really the seed for Occupational Octaves Piano. See, what happened is I saw so many different ways that people would adapt for people with special needs to be able to learn things, especially through colors. So I came up with a system that is colored letters in rhythmically designed boxes. And through these colored letters in boxes, I was able to teach people to play the same notes, the same fingers, and the same beats that I was teaching as a traditional piano teacher for many, many years beforehand. I took that idea and I built it into a small local business, and I was teaching many, many students on my own, having great success using this program, which is, in fact, a user-friendly language of music. That's what the actual program is. That's the meat and potatoes. It's a user-friendly language of music that I developed into a full classical curriculum, and I applied it to the students that I was working with who were facing day-to-day challenges. So eventually people started asking me for the program because I would post some of my success stories online. And then we took the entrepreneurial bug and we grew even more, and we started creating Occupational Octaves Piano as a as a curriculum. And we've been selling the curriculum worldwide for more than 10 years, and it's been a successful program. Lots of different people with and without music backgrounds are able to use it because it is so user-friendly. And when we say user-friendly, this is what I mean. Emojis are so user-friendly that they supersede languages themselves. You don't have to know how to read the word happy in order to see a smiley face and know what it means with emojis. That's the level of user-friendliness we're talking about with this program. And in just a moment or two, I'll demonstrate. But here's where it comes into play in a conversation like this, why it would relate to you, Vince, and to attorneys out there. The success that we were having turns out to be people getting into what we call a flow state. And when somebody enters into a flow state, three things are happening together. There's expertise, you know exactly what you're doing. There's heavy concentration, and there is emotion. And when concentration, expertise, and emotion are working all together, you get to have this incredible experience that I started to see some of my students on the autism spectrum have. And that incredible experience is literally serotonin and dopamine going through your veins, even though you might be in a very, very stressful position. And over time, I started to realize that that's something that's for absolutely everybody. Anybody could be using this. As an attorney, you feel stress. I know that you do. And there are times that you look to escape from that stress. You and I have been gym buddies in the past. I know that's one of the places that you go to escape from the stress, but a lot of people like me will go to the piano. And that is based
Ah.
on being able to read music and be able to play. But now that we have something that's incredibly user-friendly, you, whether or not you knew this in advance, already know how to read this language of music. And because of that, you can get to work right away on the process of practicing and playing. And in the process of practicing and playing, you get to escape from all of the other things that are stressing you. We get you going in a way that loops together all of the new expertise that you have and some concentration. And when you're a little successful, then you get the emotion to come out of it. And the bottom line is you get to fully escape from everything that you're doing through music. So let me pause there and see if you have any questions or comments.
So my exposure to the flow state, and we've had conversations about the flow state for years because it is mutually fascinating to us, but we come at it from different angles. So I think I talked to you about the flow state in the context of video games, and video games have been huge for me. Like I traveled to Korea to play video games, and the reason I went to college was because I had video game buddies from all over the world who drafted my like college essays to get me into college. Like, so the flow state for me has been this amazing state that lets you shed stress.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
certainly that's how I experience it, but also feel accomplishment. Like you feel like you're doing things that you might not otherwise be able to do. Which is certainly, I joke on the channel. I do all my videos, no script, take a question, talk for 20 minutes. I suspect I experienced the flow state because I don't think most people think as
Well,
fast as they speak. Like I could be wrong.
well, here's the question then. Let's take those three factors that I just mentioned. And there's actually 9 different dimensions to a flow state, but we could really sum it up and converse about it better.
Hmm.
Just these 3 factors that I mentioned. When you're in the middle of a monologue, let's say, do
Mm-hmm.
you feel expertise?
Of course,
Do you feel concentration?
very much so.
Feel the two of them working in conjunction with each other?
I would specify that I feel split concentration. I feel like I have three. I usually top out at three, but I have three ideas and I can shelf two and hop on one, and then I can get one back and hop back and forth.
Okay, so then technically speaking, here is what the question would be. Are you keeping a closed mental loop during that time? You
Ooh,
can
what
be.
does that mean?
Okay, so technically speaking, the term is transient hypofrontality. Transient meaning temporary,
Mhm.
hypo meaning reduction, frontality meaning your prefrontal cortex. So the question is everything else that's going on suppressed down enough that you could just focus on the contextual tasks and not be thinking about stimulus that's interruptive or something that is non-contextual. So you may have 3 different things going on, but are those 3 things in context with what you're doing? If so, and it continues like a loop, it is something that we would consider a closed mental loop. And in those moments, you have both calmness and excitement happening at the same time. And you have very little, we call it, um, it's attentive stress. You have very little stress to attend to what you're doing. So that means that even though you're in a high mode of accomplishment, your heart is nice and calm. Your heart rate variability is
Yeah,
nice and measured. As a matter of
very
fact,
much so. That
even
is absolutely true. And when I say I have three things, they are three pieces of the same thing, right? So to your point, whether it's video games or frankly, when I was working as a bouncer, I would experience this. And then also, I think now as an attorney, when speaking, you don't remember that you're hungry. You don't remember your foot hurts. You don't, your headache is gone. you're doing the thing, and there might be multiple parts of the thing, but it's just the thing, which I think is what you're saying, the closed mental loop.
Closed mental loop.
So interesting. I think you're imparting, you're discussing the flow state is something I never fully understood of how important it is for litigation attorneys.
Well, it comes down to some of our most basic principles. You know, the one thing that is going to be more valuable than money every single time is your attention. So to be able to hone that attention in on something productive and have it happen in a low stress way it's gold. It's gold.
Oh,
It takes your body. The ultimate thing that is happening is actually you're bringing yourself into a regulated state in a world where we're constantly pushed into dysregulation. And so, for example, let's say you come home from a stressful day and you sit down and you start to play a video game. Now, you were saying that you have a feeling of accomplishment that goes with it, but that's not what happens right away. What actually happens right away is that you start to focus on it, and little by little, almost like when you start a car, you take that little moment of spark and you just spread it out over a longer period of time. And that's what you're doing in the beginning when you're sitting down with the video game. So you're starting to form that loop. And then what happens is the further you get into that loop, the more concentrated it gets. I always find I find a tough time getting the exact words for it, but it's almost like it could start to radiate.
so I can give you a mundane measurement for that ramping up. So in the video games I play, people measure their actions per minute. How many
Mm.
decisions, how many actions are you making per minute? And when you start out and you might be 30, 40, if you're really good at the outset, 60, but people will get up to 120. I mean, pros get up to 180, right? Like, and over time, I would have called it, because I don't have your vocabulary in this world, I would have called it, I would have more utilization. I would have more ability. The quality of decisions do not go down, but you're able to make more decisions.
You gain more expertise and more capacity to use that expertise in concentration, which means it goes back to that same principle idea.
Yeah, and you can utilize the passive well of expertise more quickly, which is also true in litigation, right? If you're in trial and crazy things are happening, but you're really going, you can have instant, like, oh, I know what to do here, and just literally drop down almost like a decision tree and be like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this, I gotta, that juror is not, oh, that juror doesn't like this, and you gotta, you're like, you're on the
Yeah.
move type of thing. um I love the way you talk about this. It's incredible. So please go on.
Well, and you're saying it exactly as it is. And also one of the most important parts of it is the accomplishment side of it. For the flow state to be something that you're able to use across time.
I have no accomplishment. I'm a failure. It's my failure hat. Please go on. I'm sorry.
For the flow state to be something that you could just use across time as opposed to use just once, you have to be reaching accomplishments. And then once you will get to a certain, okay, let me take it back a moment. The flow state falls in between anxiety and boredom. Falls in between anxiety and boredom.
Okay.
So I give you a challenging task. You look at it and you do what I used to do when my piano teacher would play something for me that she was going to have me start to play, where you just have a moment of, no, that's just not happening. And then you begin the process of developing the expertise in that particular challenge, practice, perfect, do what you have to do, put the time in, you have to put in the work, it has to happen. But you go from this place of anxiety up here down to a place of boredom over time. And in the middle of it is where that flow state is. You hit that flow state when the challenge from that anxiety is something that's meaningful. But after you've done it enough, it loses its meaning and you end up in a bored place, which means you have to go up to the next level. That's something that's built into every video game you're playing. You take level one and you beat the big boss, whatever, however you approach it, whatever you're trying to do. Or in the basketball game I'm playing, you're at skill level 300, you perfect it, you win, and then what's the next thing you do? You go up to level 350 or you go to level 2 and you face something more challenging. So you need to constantly be moving yourself up levels and up levels, constantly developing skills, constantly facing new challenges that will not bore you, but also not give you so much anxiety that you're going to walk away. So you're also trying to put yourself in between anxiety and boredom. And if you think about what you were saying about being in court, the way that one decision will just set you off on a track of other decisions that are almost inherent, that's in between anxiety and boredom. You have to
Oh,
put in,
interesting.
you're putting in so little effort that you might think it's boring, but the stakes are also high, so you have your anxiety going on deep down, but your expertise and your concentration work together in a way that just moves.
Understood. So I have two substantive questions and one stupid question. And as is my nature, I'll lead with the stupid. Are your Knicks experiencing a flow state? Are they, how are they doing right now?
The Knicks are experiencing flow state after flow state after flow state, which I couldn't be happier about. I'm loving my Knicks being up 3-2, and game 6 is tomorrow night. I'm
That's
stoked.
very exciting. All
Uh,
right. Substantive question. So your program, if I understand it and correct me, it helps people build familiarity with entering the flow state. Does that help people to then enter the flow state in other contexts as well?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe
Now,
I believe that if you need to experience it to have the framework for it, and however you experience it might not matter that much, but you have to know that it's there. And once you know that it's there, then you're more open and curious to find it in other places and other aspects in life.
understood. Now, this is my deep ignorance, and viewers, please forgive me because this comes from a place of ignorance. And the spectrum's a spectrum, and everyone's different. Do people living on the spectrum dealing with autism have fewer opportunities to enter the flow state? I mean, I guess that might not be something even you.
It's on a per person basis.
Yeah,
I'm
individual humans. Yeah, that makes
I'm the
sense.
wrong person to ask that particular question to.
Understood.
Well,
Apologies.
oh no, it's not a thing to apologize for. I'm the wrong person because we work with such a wide array of support needs. And very frequently we will have students who face many different challenges, whether they be educational, whether they be social, whether they be emotional. And there's many different things that could get in the way of an easy learning process. And those are the students that I've built my reputation and I've built the program around. So a lot of I think that when you talk about flow state for people that may be on the spectrum in general, it's more that there's a swath of people that are more likely to enter into the flow states more frequently based on their needs and abilities.
Oh,
And like,
interesting. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I, yeah, I think I'm just the wrong person to really give you a good answer to that question for.
That is the best answer. If you, I love it when someone's like, "Listen, I'm not the best person to answer that question." That's always the best answer, right? Like if I love that, that humble.
So for me, yeah, for me, the question that I want to hear is, uh, do you think that you could teach me to play the piano through this program? Can I actually play? And the
Yeah,
answer is, if you could match colors and letters, just about definitely.
I did. I did. I've never been able to take your course because I took 6 years of piano, and I was the nightmare student because I would attempt to play every single piece as fast as I possibly could,
Right?
and it drove my literally my instructor fired me. My instructor was like, I can't. You just need to stop. Like I can't stand you anymore." And I was like, "Okay, fair enough." And I just never played again. But yeah. Do
Well,
you?
you would actually be a perfect candidate to use a program like this in this situation. So the example is, and I don't encourage this approach necessarily because I like the steady build. I would rather see somebody do something as part of a long journey as
Mm,
opposed to just pop in and try something. But If I gave you a song that you've never seen before, let's say at the level of Beethoven's Fur-Elise, but not necessarily that particular song,
Sure.
with occupational octaves, you could play it right away. That doesn't mean it'll sound good.
Sure.
You'll play the right notes, you'll play the right fingers, and you'll play the right beats. If you try to play it too fast, you're going to overwhelm yourself right away. That's a benefit to being able to play harder music to try to get into this flow state as an adult who is a lawyer with a bunch
Oh,
of challenges
I see
going.
what you're saying.
If
More
it's Mary,
challenge.
if it's Mary Had a Little Lamb, you're going to feel, okay, I'm just one or two tries away from playing it super fast. And we all have this inherent feeling, just like if you get behind the wheel of a Lamborghini, you're not going to go 20. If we feel the ability to go fast as people, we're going to try to do it. But if something at the level of Fur-Elise is put in front of you on your very first try, you're going to have to say, whoa, 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 I'm not ready to go fast like this. Let me go one step at a time over here. So
Got it.
there's inherent advantage, but you and all of your colleagues, unless um, there's a specific, whether you say disability, however you want to put it, a colorblind person or a blind person, this is not the right program for you.
Sure. Of course.
So besides the specific people who this program wouldn't apply to, everybody on planet Earth right now, you have a keyboard, you order one of these books and you put the rings on, and this is what the rings look like. I'll put them on in a second to show you. You're able to read piano music.
So you're recommending this, I mean, really as a stress management tool for attorneys as well.
Exactly.
And you're coming at that. I mean, so we have a mutual friend named Rich, who I won't give his last name because I don't know if he wants us to talk about him on the internet, but he's an attorney running a successful practice. And you've watched people pass through his and my practices and just implode over and over and over again. I mean, like, it's been 12 years of me saying, yeah, this guy didn't last. This guy didn't last. This guy's got a coke problem. This guy's got a hooker problem. This guy's done. It's just like they don't last at all. And it's a tragedy of our industry. But I guess as a stress management tool, I mean, anything we can do to keep people in the game, if that's good for them. Some of these attorneys, maybe they shouldn't. I don't know. But I love that idea.
I think that we all need to have varying items in our own stress management toolkits. If we don't have varying items, we're unlikely to live with balance that is going to sustain us. So I recommend to everybody, add the piano as part of your own mental health toolkit. I've done the work to take the complexity of music notes and break it down to the simplicity of something at the level of an emoji. I've done the hard work. Now you do the repetitive work. Just practice. Pick a song or start at the very beginning of the book and practice. Play it over and over and over. I don't like to get too cheesy with this, but the joys of having a song that you practice come out of your own fingers in a coherent way. It doesn't have to be perfect, but in a highly recognizable way after you've done the work yourself, just like with your video games. That's work that you do yourself, even though there were people on the back end that created the experience for you. I'm the guy on the back end that created the experience for you. And using this program is actually very, very much like using Guitar Hero or Drum Hero. It's got a very similar feel to it, but Guitar Hero and Drum Hero have horrible music fundamentals. If you're a musician and you pick up that fake guitar and you try to play along, I'm telling you from experience, and there are other musicians who may be watching this that are sitting there nodding their head, it doesn't work because it is not sensible at all to how music is actually played. This program is 100% in line with the notes and the fingers and the beats that anybody would be playing in any basic piano lesson.
Well, we've got about 20 minutes left. Do you want to show us?
So I'm going to pull up the video that explains what a new language of music is.
It's 2020, a time in which modern adaptations have led to greater levels of accessibility than ever before. So why are we still trying to read music like it's the 1800s? Here at Occupational Octaves, our belief is that too few people reach their big goals at the piano. So let's give learning a modern twist with an entirely new language of music. Let me explain. When reading traditional notation, each music symbol has three main instructions: which note to press, which finger to use, and the beats to hold. To play Beethoven's Fur-Elise, you'd have to understand these instructions with ease so you can practice with confidence. However, most simply don't get there. Here is the exact same set of musical instructions using occupational octaves. Same notes, same beats, same fingers. Designed with clarity and accessibility. But how does it work? We use bright and colorful adaptations, including a labeled keyboard and rings on the fingers. When reading this new language, you'll find many colored letters such as a green D. The letter determines which labeled key to push, and the color determines which finger to use. That's two of our three main instructions right there. But how does the rhythm work? For your music to flow, you need to be able to count beats one after another based on note value, which you can do just the same with occupational octaves. With this new language of music, you'll be able to easily know how to translate the same musical instructions that people struggle with using traditional notation. This is the bedrock of learning the piano. From Beethoven to Bach to Billy Joel, we've got a great and growing collection of songs written in this language that you can play today. Get into the flow of playing music with occupational octaves. Piano today, piano tomorrow, piano for life.
Fantastic. That was great animation too.
So this is an example of a student. This is back in November of 2023, just a couple of months ago. We had the distinct honor. I became the president of adaptive learning for the World Piano Teachers Association. And the first project that I put together in that role was bringing 5 students on the autism spectrum with relatively high support needs, some nonverbal, to Carnegie Hall to perform the works of Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, Mozart, and Liszt using this program, Occupational Octaves. So the young man
That's incredible.
in this video is wearing the rings on his fingers like I was just showing you. We have the keyboard labeled with these with the silicone strip, just like you can see over here. And with all of that, he was able to perform in a beautiful, beautiful manner.
Is that you in the background?
That is me. I'm accompanying him and I'm on stage with him.
You are wearing the ever-living fuck out of that suit, sir. Very fit.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. We're gym buddies, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward.
Carnegie Hall. That's wonderful.
So that shows off the heights to which this this could be used and the experience that could be gained from it. And that's on the grand scale. And we also have other grand scales. So for example, we put this program directly into special education classrooms to reach what we call IEP goals. So
Yeah.
that means that if you have a student that may struggle with concentration, there's all different ways that a student may work on increasing concentration, and we put the piano in the classroom to be one of the methods. Another great example that we'd like to bring up is the idea that some students have a very tough time with pacing themselves when they eat. They tend to shovel food in their mouths in a way that could actually be dangerous because we worry about choking. And what that's actually a problem with is the ability to pace one's self. So what we're able to do is bring the piano in to learn pacing at the piano, and then hopefully we can generalize it away from the piano.
I feel personally attacked with this pacing issue. both in my eating and my piano playing. Please go on. Sorry.
Well, that's really there's an unlimited number of things for me to say about this program because the usages, again, they go from reaching goals that have nothing to do with music like pacing to highest levels of music achievement playing at Carnegie Hall to everything in between, like lawyers getting to use it as a DIY platform to relax and enhance their own mental health.
I love it. And I love that it can be used to fulfill certain needs in an IEP program. Every employment attorney, IEPs are the bane of our existence for two reasons. One, special ed educators face so much employment litigation, especially in New York, because they have such a hard job. It's so incredibly difficult, and they're doing so much, and they're often not given the resources. So I love seeing special ed educators given resources like your program. And then also a lot of parents will call up employment attorneys being like, hey, you do accommodations for disabilities, right? And we're like, yes, in the workplace. They're like, you're going to do it for an IEP now. And we're like, that's not what we do. We don't know how to do that, but it can be, there are specific attorneys who do that. And I always refer to them with those folks, but it comes up all the time because even in New York City, people are not getting always what they need in special education. So I love seeing your program available. That makes me so happy.
We are trying to help as many people as possible through as many angles as possible, alleviate the general stresses on their mind. And if you're around IEPs, there's a good chance of stresses going on for a number of different reasons.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're proud to present the platform and the opportunity for people.
Listen, I had a bunch of questions about your journey as an entrepreneur and as an employer that I thought would be useful to the viewers of the channel. But I think we're short on time. We might need to do another video sometime if you're open to that.
Glad to.
What would you say in closing? We've got about 5 minutes left. What else do you think my viewers should know about the program and how it can help people?
Especially in 2024, I feel like so many people are looking for modes of self-expression, and we've been overloaded with them. You know, you want to write a poem at this point, you go onto an AI platform and you tell it what kind of poem to write. For this program, I wanted to put together a picture of Beethoven and Mozart wearing the rings on the fingers. So I typed it into the system. I typed it into ChatGPT and into Copilot, and there you go. And that is new school, very, very new school. And in the new school, we're overwhelmed with these creative expressions. But in the old school, it came from a different place. It came from something like music practice. And I encourage everybody to get back to the old and get back to the things where you have to do the work yourself. I didn't have to do the work myself to draw Mozart with the rings on. The work was done for me. This is a beautiful opportunity to do the work yourself, to put yourself into a position where you're taking yourself away from the iPhone, you're taking yourself away from the tablet and from the TV. You could have printed sheets. If you have a natural piano, you could have a natural piano and not even have any kind of electricity being used in any way. And you could have an old school experience. You could have an old school feeling. And again, we're in the new school and we're lacking in the past. And the past was beautiful. The past got us here. So this is an opportunity for you to engage with the past, to engage with Bach, to engage with Chopin, to engage with Mozart. If you've never done it before, it's absolutely amazing. It's amazing in more ways than I could ever really delineate in a conversation. So to the general audience of people out there, there's a new way and there's a new opportunity. It's easy, it's inexpensive. You can engage in it in a DIY way right away. You could reach out to me for a little help if you want a little bit of help to get going with it, but there's a new experience for you. It's awesome. We live in an experience culture, so have this experience and enjoy it.
And special ed teachers can reach out to you in terms of getting this into their classroom as well. Is that correct?
Absolutely. If you go to occupationaloctaves.com, there are plenty of different ways to get in touch in the way that is most suitable for you. I will also say, it's available publicly. My phone number is 516-457-1111. Feel free to text me. I'm here to answer any of your questions, and I'll come in and I'll give a presentation so you could see how you, the paraprofessionals, the other therapists in the building, the parents, and the administrators could all be on the same page to bring music into the special ed classroom.
Are you sure you want your phone number on the internet like that?
It's already there.
I've had people show up at my office and try to jump me because of this YouTube channel. You sure this is all right?
Well, I don't know that I'm going to piss off as many people as you.
That is true. That is my job and my personality. Listen, dude, I'm so proud isn't the wrong word because I don't have that. I'm so happy for you. Like, this is so well deserved. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed by what you've done with this program. Impressed is the correct word.
No, I think you're proud.
Okay. The only reason I'm not saying proud is because it feels a little parental. But yeah, dude, I guess proud is the word. It's incredible. And I'm happy for you. I'm also happy for the people who get to experience your program. And I'm just so happy.
Thank you.
Listen, if the Knicks go to a new series, can we go to a game?
Depends who's paying.
I am paying. I owe you, buddy. I owe you.
We can try to go to a game for sure. I'd love to.
I would